Hi everyone, in this video we will discuss how to create a MCP server to do image rotation using OpenCV and create a Flask app to connect with that and do the rotation, right. So in the GitHub repo, please go to this particular folder, and in this I have added uh, the steps. First step is you have to create a directory and then move into the directory, and here we are not going to use even UV, it is basically Python, but we are just going to use pip and those stuff only. So just you create a virtual environment and pip install MCP, and then this is OpenCV is required because we are going to use OpenCV functions to rotate the image, right, and NumPy is also required. And apart from that, we are going to install Flask as well as Fast API for testing the MCP server, right. So we have installed those stuff as well. Now let's come back to the folder and look into the server, right. So this is the server. Here we are going to have the rotate image function, right. This is a MCP server. First we create a Fast MCP server kind, right. Server image rotation server is the name of the server, and we have got a function to rotate the image. The input is image data is coming in, and then what angle we are going to rotate and what should be the scale, right. That is whether you want to zoom in or not. The scale is also given as input. And then first what do we do is we convert the image into base64 format, and then we are going to apply the OpenCV functions, right, like image decode and so on. And if it is not present, then we give some errors. We also find the height and width of the image, and that is required for making the rotation. Then you call the CV's get rotation matrix function, and then you are performing the rotation, and then we are taking back, right. As we decode, we are encode back to base64 format, right, because base64 is a format which is widely used when we want to transmit the image over the network, right. It is a very safe way to send the image and it is more efficient. So we are also using that, right. And if in case there is any error exception, then we are going to tell that rotation failed. This is one function, right. That's it. Now we are going to create the tools that are required for the MCP server, right. This is list tool functions, right. When we were talking the theory concepts, we discussed that there will be a list tool function, there will be a call tool function, everything, right. So this is a list tool function which is going to return the list of tools that are being provided, right. First one is rotate image, right. There is only one tool, so we just make it here. So you tell the description, and then input schema, you are telling image data and you give the string, and then you specify angle and the scale, right. Required is the image data and the angle. Scale will be default 1, that is what is mentioned here as well, right. Then next is call tool function, okay. So call tool function will call the tool, right, will execute the tool. So you can see here you are getting the name of the tool, you are checking whether it is rotate image. If it is rotate image, we are taking the arguments from the list, right. You are also passing a dictionary of arguments, right. So you are taking the image data, angle and scale, everything, and then you call the rotate image function we wrote first, right, where we make OpenCV calls and so on. And you are going to, once you have finished that, you are going to return the text, right. That is, you are telling image is successfully rotated, right. And otherwise if there is any error that happens, then you are going to tell there is some error, fine. And this main is going to run the server. So with stdio server, we are just running it, and we provide the required things, right, read, stream, write, save and so on, right. This is the server.py which will rotate the image, and we have got this app, right. This is a Flask app that is going to use this particular server. So the first the HTML code comes that will create the page, right. After that you can see here we are calling the MCP server, right, for which we have to pass the images. So for this function also we are sending the image, angle and the scale, right. So, you send the server parameters, here you mention command is Python 3 and server.py. You can see here because it is in the same folder. What I have done is I have put the server as well as app in the same folder. So, I am not giving any path. If suppose if the path is different, then you have to give the absolute path of the server file, right. And then you are making the connection, right. The client connection is being made, you initialize it and you call the tool, right. When you are calling the tool, you pass the required data and then you are checking, okay, extract the rotated image. The rotated image will be in the result as content and you are sending it and you are going to display it, right. So, that is what is happening. You check whether the text is starting with this, right. This particular thing will automatically come, that is in data colon image slash png base 64. This text will come if the data is successfully rotated, that is the image is successfully rotated means this will come. So, you just check whether this is present. If this is present, then you can display, right. You are taking the last part of the list, right. That is you are using comma, you using that you split the text and you take the second one, that is the image, right, that we will display. Otherwise, you will tell no image is returned, okay. Other functions are relevant to the Flask API, that is checking the health and so on. Now, let us run this and check. So, when we go there to that particular folder, what I did is I will do again and show how we have to do is, yeah, open in terminal, right, and then you can tell Python 3 app.py, okay. So, when you do this, you will see that the Flask server is running. You can copy and you can open it in a browser. So, you will see something like this, right. Now, we can browse and you can choose the image. In this you can see I have chosen the image. You can give any degree, let me give 60 degrees and I will rotate it. You will see that this is the original image, it is being rotated. If you give 90 degrees, yeah, you can see that it is getting rotated and you can also vary the scale and see. I will give 1.5, I will give this as 180, right. You can see this is the output. It has become somewhat bigger, right, it is zoomed in, right, since I changed the scale. So, this is how we can create our own MCP server which can do functionalities. Here we are using OpenCV library. So, if you have got some other libraries, you can install that and you can create your own MCP server as well, right. Thank you.